Good morning, everyone. My name is Martin. I'm a specialist technical coach and mentor in Open Formula. In this video, I'm going to give you my insights and opportunities from FP1 and Sprint Quali. If you're interested in what my thoughts are, definitely keep watching. Welcome back to the channel, guys. I hope you're going well. I hope you enjoyed the day's play, the dry session that was Friday. If you didn't come along to the live stream, a lot of things we said there were bang on. A couple of them I'm going to call out to you right now. Number one, do your homework on the compound that you're going to be assessed on in qualifying. That means that if you're in the midfield, you want to work a lot on the mediums to get yourself through Q1 and Q2. And if you're at the sharp end of the grid, you want to do a little bit of work on the soft compound tire as well to make sure that you can fight and compete for pole position in Q3. This is something that surprised me with Oscar. He came out and said, the soft compound tire wasn't really what I expected it to be in my run in Q3. And I'm like, you didn't even try it in practice. What did you expect it to be? You get given 6 soft compound tires to use across the weekend. One of them you're going to use if you make it into Q3 and the other one's probably for qualifying tomorrow. But if it's wet tomorrow, then they're all in the bank anyway. And I just think, like, you guys, if you've come along to the live stream, you'll know my philosophy. It's just literally just take it session by session. So a lot of the drivers spent a lot of time, therefore, on the hard compound tire in the first practice session. And that's very against my philosophy. That's very against engineering, giving the drivers a little program and protocol and say, in theory, this is the best way to go. But the hard compound tire does nothing for you. Like, it gives you no useful, tangible, actionable, insightful information for qualifying or the race. So it's a useless exercise. If you want to clean the track up for 5 or 10 minutes initially, fine. But yeah, other than that, now to that extent that the drivers were spending 45, 46, 47 minutes on that hard compound tire before some of them switched over to do a medium run. And Max switched over to do a soft compound run in FP1. Good on Max. Like, I think that was the way to go. Like, skip the medium. If you're at the front of the grid, you could probably skip the medium runs knowing that you're going to get through Q1 and Q2, SQ1 and SQ2, and then do a bit of homework on the soft. Again, that's what your assessment is going to be. So to hear Oscar say that, it's like, yeah, I've got an idea, Oscar. Just put it on in practice. Cheat a little bit, Oscar. Put that tire on in practice. Get a feel for what it does for you, and you'll be better prepared for your sprint quali. You might have whacked it on pole. You're fighting for a championship here. So this is really important. And for the front guys, there's no loss. You're going to get through, if it's dry tomorrow, you're going to get through your Q1s and Q2s, no problem on one set of softs. You could probably get through on a medium, even if you wanted to as well. So, and we got rain as well. So I'll bring up the weather for you guys now and we'll have a look at it together because this is important. So we've been watching this all week and all weekend. Pretty much this 4.5 mil that's expected to come tomorrow has been declining. I said this in the live stream. It was 10 and it was 6. In the live stream, I think it was 5.2 or something, and now it's 4.5. So it's coming back a little bit. It's continuing to come back. Which means just light, like it'll be light and consistent throughout the day, but very light, very misty. And then on Sunday, this is increased from 1 to 2 mil. So we're not talking heaps of rain. It's not going to be torrential downpours or anything, but it's going to be in the air. So like I say, on Saturday, which is your sprint and your main quali, like, what are you going to do with all those soft compound? Yeah, you might use them here and there if it's dry, but likely it'll be intermediate at least at some point in qualifying as well. Again, like I said, that strong wind of 10 meters a second is still there. And that's going to be a tailwind into turn 1, which is very important. You're going to need to, like in your final runs in Q3, you're going to need to allow for that and just don't risk too much under braking into turn 1, particularly if it's wet and you got that big gust of wind. Just chill out in turn 1 and yeah, choose your battles around the racetrack, definitely. Yeah, the other thing I said in the live stream is front grip is key. How do I know that? Well, because I've got the 7 technical corners cheat sheet. You can jump onto my website and download the cheat sheet. It talks about chicanes, hairpins, S's, double apex corners, and then your 3 long corners. And it gives you one thing, one little tip for each of those corners. In long corners of constant radius, front grip is the key, what you're looking for there. That's exactly what Max struggled with today. That's the most important thing because you need the front grip to pull the car around these long corners. And yeah, the Red Bull, inherently has struggled with slow speed, understeer in long corners of constant radius, of which we have a couple on the track map, turn 8, 9, and 10 you could argue fall into that category in some way, shape, or form. And that's the mid sector where Max was struggling. So, yeah, front grip was really the story of the day. Mechanical front end grip, where the front wing's not doing much at 80 kilometers per hour. You need to have good ride height, good roll bars, good roll masses, good center of gravities, good springs, suspension dampers, tire pressures, and all that VD stuff that I don't get into much on this channel. But I know the front wing's not doing much at those speeds, and it's more got to do with the mechanical. Hence, probably why Mercedes was strong today. I expected this to be a story in Mexico because no air, high altitude, doesn't shine as much of a light on the aero side and shines more of a light on the mechanical side. Yeah, I expected Mercedes to show up in Mexico. For some reason, they didn't. But they're showing up here this weekend as still having a good inherent car mechanically. It's just in the high speed when the downforce really takes over the grip of the car that Mercedes kind of go missing a little bit. So good to see them here this weekend. That makes sense for me. It also makes sense to me that Aston Martin are up there. Again, long corners, a constant radius, front grip is key. A track that really shines a light on that is Hungary. You've got 4 or 5 long corners of constant radius in Hungary. You need a mega front end on the car. And I believe Aston Martin were quite strong that weekend. And so that's carrying over to the mid sector here as well. I'm not sure if you guys saw the podcast between Gabi Bortoleto, I think it was Nelson Piquet Jr., Max Verstappen as well. I thought it was a cool podcast. I listened to the whole thing. It was long. It was like just under 2 hours. And it was insightful. I found that sort of discussion much more to my liking and better than the Chris Harris one with Max. I just think if you're going to get your hands on Max Verstappen, you don't want to be handing him a stick and asking him to draw a racing line through a fast right-hand corner where he's like, I enter from the left, I turn in and hit the apex, and I exit, close to the exit curve. Like, I think, I stand by what I said. I think Chris really blew an opportunity with Max. And I actually emailed him and said, hey, these are the things you want to be asking. Which do you prioritize more, front grip or rear grip? And Max would be like, okay, front grip. And so if it's front grip, then what about in increasing radius corners like Spain turn 10, for example? Is it still front grip? And you just want to kind of play with Max's understanding there a little bit. And like you want to try to draw the insights from him. And Chris was always looking for, oh, this is the secret sauce. Oh, no, it's not that. Oh, that's the secret sauce. Oh, no, it's not that either. But actually, Max's secret sauce is the amount of hours that he puts into his sport and his profession, which seems to be more than anyone else on the grid at the moment. And he alluded to this in the discussion with Gabi and Nelson Piquet Jr. And he was like, yeah, the sim is so important. And Max is at a level with the sim where he's not just going around driving, feeling it out. No, they're being curious out there as well. They're trying different lines. They're trying different setups. They're following each other in dirty air. They're probably doing the tracks backwards as well. And they're just like mucking around, playing with setups, and they're exploring all the possibilities so that then when they come back, they're like, no, this is the best way through. So Max also said, like, I think he was asked, are a lot of the other drivers doing this as well, or are you guys the only ones? And something like that. And then I think Max was like, the good ones are. And I think if I'm just reading between the lines there, I think that was a little bit of a knock on Lewis, potentially, or maybe even George as well. It was a knock on someone through there to be able to say, like, you're never going to be as good as me because I work harder than you. If I read that between the lines correctly, guys, let me know in the comments what you thought about that, or if you've indeed seen the podcast. I'm not going to link it below. Just type in Max Verstappen, Gabi Bortoleto podcast, and you'll find it first one straight away. It's got like 1 million views. And they also spoke about the importance of like KZ as well, which is one of my favorite categories, KZ karting, and just how quick everything comes and how you could probably jump from a KZ straight into F3 or F2 and skip F4 a little bit as well, which I agree with. So yeah, good chat. I found it insightful. I can't say I picked up too much from it in terms of knowledge, but I enjoyed the conversation. Just going back to my point about the hard compound tire in the majority of FP1. Did you see Yuki Tsunoda there on the exit of what's that corner, turn 4? It's got a special name. I love the names here in Interlagos. I'm going to bring it up for you guys now. Decido de Lago, which is the descent of the lake, if I understand correctly. It's just, it goes to show, like, why are we on the hard compounds on the slip? Like, these are very hard compounds that we have this weekend. Why are we on the hard compounds such that it's possible for Yuki Tsunoda to make a mistake and damage the front wing on the exit of turn 4 Decido de Lago? Like, again, like, there's a human in the car, guys. And so I don't chalk that mistake up to like Yeah, of course it was a driving mistake, but it could have been avoided if you just give him a medium to go around. Do you know what I mean? Like things like that. Imagine that broke the car and just fully ruined his practice session. Your beautiful theoretical session that you'd planned out on to do whatever you wanted to do is now gone because the human in the car couldn't deal with the low grip situation and the very hard compound of Tyre. Max also had a decent moment on the entry into turn 4. He caught it, but it was under braking this one. He lost the rear on the entry to turn 4, managed to catch it, and just went off at all of the escape road over here. That's good information for Max. That's something where he'll rectify for straight away. From the driver's point of view, if I can tell you the insight, it shows you that the braking grip at the rear is the limitation, and you've probably got more scope to increase your front brake balance. That's probably what you want to do at that point. Just heading into turn 4. And it just, again, it just shows you that you've got less grip at the rear, under braking, more great braking capacity at the front axle of the car. Bang, just push the brakes forward. Could even be entry diff if he's off throttle. Could be the speed at which he's clicking the downshifts as well. But I'm going deeper and deeper into granularity. This is probably your easiest solution. No doubt Max resolved for that, and it was helpful information for him. Whereas with Yuki's little accident, there's nothing to learn. He just ran a bit wide, the car bottomed, and he lost control, and that was it. Whereas like with Max, it's like, okay, there's, I'm learning about the limitations of the car, which is helpful. Yeah, expected for McLaren to be strong. They've got the best front end on the grid, clearly. If you haven't seen like all the videos earlier on in the season, like around Spain and Jeddah and China, Lando struggling with the front end of the car, it was really powerful, really unpredictable. And every time Lando turned into the corner, the front would bite and the car would want to swap ends. So McLaren's always had the strongest front end. So therefore, it's not surprised for me to see them at the top of the timesheets in qualifying. I thought Ferrari were particularly bad with their execution. They, running the hard for 45 minutes in practice 1 and then doing one run on the medium or soft, I'm not a big fan of that. But worse than that is not doing any medium or soft running and just running the hard tire in the practice session. That's what Ferrari did. Can you believe it? And you can imagine like the drivers would be completely lost at sea when they go for their sprint qualifying session. Like it was a useless execution from the racing operations team at Ferrari to not give their drivers any indication or any feel for what that compound would be like come your assessment in sprint qualifying. There was a point where both the drivers locked up the inside front right into the long corner turn 10, the Bico de Pato. Both the Ferrari drivers locked up the front right coming into here. Leclerc spun on the way out here. These drivers are getting frustrated with the situation. And I was actually really surprised at Hamilton's, just post-day qualifying. He was very upbeat. He was very positive. He's like, we keep on trying. And it's not through lack of trying. And the guys did their best. We did our best. And it is what it is. But with his car, they also missed out on their final run. There was a timing issue, I believe, in Q2. He didn't get his final run. And yeah, it's not helpful to be hammering the desk and be kicking and screaming, but I would have lost patience a long time ago. For a racing operations team, the guys at the track, again, there's two teams, right? There's the operations, the guys at the track doing the run plans, doing the strategy, doing the timings, doing the setup. And then you got the guys that are building the car back at base, back at Maranello in this case, two very different independent organizations. The race operations is a clown show and has been for some time. Jumped on board with Max in a couple of the sessions. He was really struggling with the front end. Like I say, I'll just jump over to the whiteboard and show you guys. Two key areas where he was struggling with the front end was turn 8 and turn 10. The two right-handers trying to get the front turned into this corner. Max not really finding a way through. Even though I've always said that of the 7 technical corners, Max's weakest one is the long corner of constant radius. I don't chalk these ones up to driving error. There's not much you can really do. I don't see options for Max in terms of the line that he can take into turn 8 or the line he can take into turn 10. Max is trying to carry speed into these corners that the car is just not capable of doing. I often say that I can differentiate between when it's a driver-induced thing or when it's a car-induced thing. And I can just see that the front of the Red Bull will not turn into these corners with Max asking it to brake and corner into turn 8 and turn 10. So he's obviously trying to trail brake into these corners and carry speed in, and the front saying no. So they need some sort of mechanical solution for that, be it, in the front end or in the diff or in the brake bias or something, but you don't want to be sliding the car too much on the entry here. You're kind of stuck, if the steering wheel is not doing what it wants to do, then yeah, you'll be getting caned in those corners. In addition, of course, to the long corner, turn 9 as well. So slow speed understeer for the Red Bull. I don't have a solution for Max's driving side per se. I don't see too much wrong with it. It's the Red Bull that's lacking in this part of the racetrack. Looking ahead to tomorrow, we've got the rain on the way. I spoke a lot in the live stream yesterday about short corners, Max versus Lando. I had a good comparison there, and how you want to avoid the rubber in the long corners of turn 3 and turn 11. That's very important. And yeah, again, you do need a strong front end in the wet as well. So in this particular case, I'm not necessarily expecting a Max kind of demolition and walk through, at least not in the sprint. Maybe in the quali, he can be more competitive. I think that'll put him up there in the fight for pole. I'm not sure necessarily if it does rain, we're going to see Max just destroy and come through like he did last time. Just because I can see the front end is not working. Then you need a mega front end in the wet to make it all happen. So he's kind of one hand tied behind his back at this point in the weekend. It will be interesting to see what happens. Guys, let me know your thoughts and questions and comments in the comments section below. I hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe, please, if you're new here. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.